Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Trustees meeting for the Village of Pleasantville. Today is Monday, October 11. If you are watching live on Monday, October 11, we invite you to call in with any comments or questions. Our call-in number is 769-1677. As I always remind you, you can watch Village Board meetings live on cable TV, either Verizon or Cablevision, and you can also watch live webcasting as well as on-demand webcast after the meetings at pctv76.org. Our next meeting is a work session on Monday, October 18 at 7 p.m. and our next regular meeting is Monday, October 25 at 8 p.m. with a work session that begins at 7. I had a couple of announcements to make, and the first is that our county legislator, John Nona, and former mayor as well as Pleasantville resident, has a town hall meeting that he has scheduled to discuss issues with your District 3 legislator, John Nona. That's Wednesday, October 27 from 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Clinton Street Center at the corner of Clinton Street and Wheeler. So if you are interested in talking to John Nona and asking him questions about what's going on at the county and how it may affect Pleasantville, that would be Wednesday, October 27 at 7:30 at the Clinton Street Center. If you need more information, you can call Legislator Nona's office at 995-2814, where you very possibly will be will be greeted by
Joy gives you all of them a reason to call.
by John's legislative assistant, Trustee Nona. Another scheduled matter to report, and that is the day before that event, Tuesday, October 26th. We have scheduled our annual joint meeting with the Pleasantville School Board. That is an annual event that we scheduled to discuss matters of joint concern. That is happening this year at their place, so that will be at the Pleasantville High School on Tuesday, October 26 at 7, is it? 7:30?
I believe it's 7:30.
I think 7:30. So we'll mention that again at our next meeting, which is the day before this event, but if you're interested in matters that are of joint interest to the village and the school board, that would be a joint meeting on Tuesday, October 26th at 7:30 at the high school. We received a letter from the Automobile Association of America, AAA, congratulating the village on having won a gold award in the 2010 Community Traffic Safety Award Program, so we appreciate that from the AAA. A nice commendation to receive. And then lastly, I wanted to mention that the farm market continues to go great guns. It's just as good as it has been in past years. It's better yet. And there is an extra good reason to come to the farm market this weekend, and that is the pie tasting competition. So anybody who wants to submit a pie, I think the information is available on the farm market website.
Are you judging?
I'm judging, yeah. I wanted to ask, will I get a special requisition for a very large bib?
You just better be able to run
Shouldn't
fast.
be messy. It's apple pie.
This is a no-win thing.
We're not bothering you
Is
for
this your
apples.
vote?
It's no-win.
Is this going to end with a pie in the face?
You better off dribbling the pie all over yourself and seeking sympathy.
I never got to do it, but these guys, all these guys have done it.
We have all done it. It's a fun event. More fun, I dare say, for the winning pie, but a good time is had by all. And
Only one person is happy after this.
a remarkable display of pie baking capability. So, but
Good
really,
luck,
in all
Steve.
seriousness, the farm market has just been extraordinary this year, and we encourage you to get down there. It's every Saturday morning until, I guess, mid-December,
December
from 8:30 to 1. So,
Except for with the Ragamuffin Parade, there will not be a farmer's market that day.
all right, that
Which
has
is
been
the
set,
30th.
correct?
That's the end of this month.
That's
yes.
the 30th
Yes.
of October.
Yeah, that's been established.
Okay, so the annual Pleasantville Ragamuffin Parade, great event, is Saturday, October 30.
Yeah. And the rain date's Sunday.
Rain date is Sunday, and on that Saturday, October 30, there'll be no farm market. Anybody else have anything to report?
I'll send that.
Are there any oral communications? Anybody? Feel free to call at 769-1677. In the absence of that, on this Columbus Day, we will go to our resolutions. Steve, number 208.
Resolve the pre-check register dated October 11th, 2010, covering check numbers 67595 through 67723, been reviewed, and they are hereby approved as listed below. General Fund, $113,000. $69.46. Water Fund, $4,481.09. Capital Fund, $9,454.29. Refuse Fund, $1,275.51. Pool Fund, $3,481.55. Trust and Agency Fund, $930, for a total of $132,691.60.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Comments, questions, or corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees has reviewed the minutes of the meetings held on Monday, September 13th and September 27th, and they are hereby approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any comments or corrections?
I have one that, sorry, I should have
No, that's
flagged it. Is awarding the bid to the rec center, there's no notation in here about the discussion that we had. I don't know if, I think that normally does go in there, right? We had talked about Jonathan was not here, and it asked me to mention that is there any other way, and all that kind of stuff to
Right.
fund this kind of thing. So I just, we could maybe just go back and add that in eventually.
All right, well, then we should table that and
What day was that? That was
It was for
the
the,
7th?
October 4.
October 4th, right?
Okay, so how about this? Let's approve the minutes of the previous meeting, which was
Okay.
September 13, and we will...
No,
I'm
it's the
sorry, not-
27th.
It's the 27th.
Right, I'm sorry.
So we'll approve, can we back up and amend the resolution to approve the minutes of the meeting of September 13?
There was a lot said on the issue of what was, we could take,
Okay.
how we could take private
Right,
funds
so-
and all that kind of stuff.
When Judy edits that, we should just come back and add those for resolution the next time. True?
Should I reread it?
Yeah, so why don't we just revise this
Resolved that the Board of
resolution?
Trustees have reviewed the minutes of the meeting held on Monday, September 13th, and they are hereby approved.
Okay, is there a second? All in favor? Aye, motion approved, and then Judy will just put those on for the 27th, the next time when you've made that in. Jonathan?
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby accepts an anonymous donation in the amount of $25 to the Clinton Street Senior Center for Senior Programs.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you to whomever it may
Whomever.
have been. Brian?
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby approves the request from Pierce Drive residents to hold a block party on Saturday, October 23rd, 2010, rain date October 24th, from 1 to 10 p.m.
Is there a second?
Second, seeing that I've been asked to join them as an alumni to judge their ribs.
All
I think I'd rather swap.
That's right, that used to be
duties
your
here
block.
at Lopez.
All in favor?
It's a tough crowd over there on Pierce.
Motion approved. Steve, number 212.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village administrator to sign the pool concession stand agreement with Robert Di Bono as per the terms set forth in the agreement dated October 11th, 2010 for the 2011 and 2012 season.
Is there a second?
Second.
Patty, you want to describe this? It is the same lessee that we've had in recent years.
We've had Bob DeBono's company for several years. He's been very capable of managing the concession stand. There's been no violations issued by Department of Health. He's been able to control his menu and prices for us, and I had no complaints. I don't know if we do better, going out with another concessionaire. This is not a weather-dependent contract. We get paid rain or shine. Some seasons are very bad for him, some seasons are very good for him. But all in all, I think the community's been pretty happy with what he's been able to do there. And we're just putting it out there early, to see if we can just move this along and get him settled for next year.
Okay, so the rent for the 2011 season and again for the 2012 season is $4,400 for a total of $8,800 over both seasons, and it requires the lessee to operate the concession at a minimum between the hours of 12:30 p.m. and 8 p.m. 7 days a week on days that the pool is open. So
Could I ask a question?
please do.
You know, we've talked in the past, at least when I've been around for some of these discussions, about the kind of food that's offered. And, you know, I will say, I've never purchased food there, so I'm not really sure what there is. But I'm assuming that, or I'm wondering if it's possible to have sort of start making some attempts at kind of slightly more healthy food than your standard sodas and
Well,
fries.
they have a big assortment there. He has a very large assortment. You know, there's iced teas and lemonade, and other than soda, there's water, Gatorades.
Candy,
There's
cookies.
a lot of
Lots
candy.
sugar so
Crips,
far, that's what I'm
chips.
hearing.
No, well, you know, water, and Gatorade, you know, necessities for sitting out in the sun, you
Okay.
know.
You know, I'm just,
We can ask what his
Thinking,
healthy choice menu is. Most people
right.
do provide one. They know better now, you
right,
know.
exactly.
But there's also the demand for whatever, you know,
And that's great.
the flavor of the
But
day is, and kids, you know, you have a lot of kids there, so
I'm
parents
sure there are
don't
a lot
allow
of
them.
alternatives, and I'm sure there are a lot of
But,
parents.
you know, your main buy is gonna be pizza, french fries, hot dogs.
Well, because that's what we offer,
Yeah.
and
You can
maybe
get
there's something
sandwiches
else
and
we can
stuff.
offer.
He actually expanded his menu like 2 years ago, where
I'll find out.
there's a big sandwich
It's
board
worth
there now.
asking.
Yeah.
And we were questioned on that too with one of our recreation programs where we had a program that basically was like bingo in McDonald's, and the parents wanted a healthier choice, so.
Well, I tried
we
to
worked
change
that out.
the snack bar for the swim team has,
Yeah. Crab.
we have a concession, and sometimes it's, if it's a morning meet, you have breakfast, and I asked them not to have donuts
Mhm.
there. I just, a lot of our swimmers were eating donuts behind the block, and that is not what you want a swimmer eating anytime, really. So I got a lot of pushback. I mean, people just complained right and left.
Well, it'd be nice if there were power bars or some other
We had so
things.
many alternatives.
at the
There was
concession.
even a muffin. You could have a muffin, a bagel. We encourage that, but really, a swimmer shouldn't be eating
All the sugar.
all that
Yes,
anyway.
yeah, yeah.
It's just not good. But they said they want it for the little kids, the donut holes, and it was really, you can't imagine the pushback I got. It was bad.
Well,
You remember
I
that,
just
Jonathan,
think-
don't you?
I did, I was yelling for my donuts regularly.
Well, you're not
I didn't
going
say
to
it
eat
was
them if
you.
they're offered, but I'm just saying
So
that we could sort of, we could make a change here. It's up to us.
Well,
If we want to see a change, then it's up to us to make a change.
Clause number 12 says food and beverages sold by the lessee will be of good quality, clean and wholesome. That's kind of legal motherhood and apple pie
He's
text.
very
I
good
saw.
with his staff too, this guy.
In the event that the successful bidders desire to sell commodities others set forth in the schedule, a list of additional commodities with their price shall be first submitted to the superintendent of recreation. So,
I'll ask him to
my
provide
takeaway
it.
on that
All
is,
right.
Okay.
is he's
Thank you,
shown himself to
Brian.
be cooperative
I
in the past.
understand the
And,
intent.
He is. He's very good. He's very good. He's very good with the staff.
and I do recall some years back, we were less satisfied with a different person who was managing that. So,
Yes.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Number 213.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby authorizes the village clerk, Kirk and Spot, to notice a public hearing for Monday, October 25th, 2010, 8:30 PM prevailing time, to hear comments as it pertains to a local law amending Chapter 173 Vehicles and Traffic, Sections 173-60 Parking Prohibited at All Times, and 173-66 Time Limit Parking as follows. Section 1, amending Section 173 Vehicles and Traffic, Section 173 as stated above. Add to that section on the north side of Clinton Street from the point 105 feet from the intersection of Tompkins Avenue east for 145 feet to the stairway, and from Clinton Street south from the intersection of Tompkins Avenue to a point 144 feet east. That would be added, and to delete section 173-66, the Clinton Street North, the parking time 2 hours from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., all except Saturdays and Sundays and holidays, from the bottom of the stairs to Tompkins Avenue. And on, this is the same section, on the south side of Clinton Street, to add 2-hour parking, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., all except Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays from a point 144 east of Tompkins Avenue to the stairway. And I'm sure nobody got any of that, so
Well, we'll
maybe
illustrate
just a
it,
little
but-
explanation, so.
Yeah.
Well, and our purpose in this resolution is to notice a public hearing, so
Right.
Right.
Who's asking for this?
Well, the residents that live on
Can we
that
get a second on that?
portion
Second.
of
Okay,
Clinton
Steve.
Street.
Patty, you want to just
Remember
describe
last
the
week?
genesis of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's currently some restrictions on the north side of Clinton Street from Tompkins to the stairwell. And they're like a 2-hour limit. But they are in effect, and we do enforce them, but with parking in the interim on that street on both sides, it's creating havoc for trucks to get through. It's very
And
tight.
it's an oddly busy location. It's the
Yeah.
back of the Presbyterian Church parking lot and egress from there. And then a number of houses. There's an accounting firm there, and then
And then
the
they've
building
asked-
that
right.
has Riviera in it at the corner.
So the chief went out there and had taken a look at this and suggested that we prohibit parking at certain points on both sides of the street and regulate the south side for 2-hour parking during the days. He just said it would flow better. The residents that had brought this issue up agreed. Bill Flukes was here last week
Right.
as well. He's an owner on that block. He'll be here for the hearing to speak to this as well. So. All right.
All right.
You know, we've discussed this, this street and that side over the years, but I just want to point out that, you know, the building that the Riviera is in has some cars that park alongside the building. And
Those
those,
seem like good spots.
yeah, those are great spots. But
Are we
but-
eliminating those?
I
No,
don't
no, no,
think
we're
so.
not, they're not in the
We're
mix
not that
here.
far down.
Because it only goes, starts at 105,
Right.
105 feet, which I assume means that we're not. The interesting thing about those spots is they are on village property.
I think they are. I think the building is on the lot line.
Right. So are
In which
we-
case, the private parking sign should come down if that's the case, right?
I don't think they have.
They don't
They're
have any
private
signs.
parking.
They
It's-
do.
Oh, they do?
I do believe
Yeah,
they do,
they have
yes.
private parking section and.
Oh, then
public
they
parking.
should come down, is right, yeah.
Not that,
I don't remember
not that
seeing
they
those.
shouldn't park there, because it's a good place to park.
If I
and-
parked there before,
Well, but you'll get.
I have to.
Yeah, I don't
No,
remember
no,
seeing-
really, on, right next
Yeah.
to the.
Well, off hours, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Off hours, that's okay, but I think it should be public parking, and they're there first thing in the morning anyway. They can
Right.
they
I
can
had no
park there,
idea
that's
it wasn't
fine,
public parking.
but it's public.
All right,
it's
so,
public
I mean, you can bring that up when we have this public hearing on
Okay.
the matter of these changes. So all in favor of that?
Aye.
Posting
But
public
the reason I
hearing?
bring it up is because if, you know, if we're not including them, that maybe we should include them to
Right.
sort of establish our claim to that property. I mean, it's our property. So,
Patty, if we, in the context of the public hearing, were to change the specs a little bit, we'd have to notice another hearing.
If it's more restrictive.
Yes, if it is more restrictive.
So would it be, we can, however, make it less restrictive in the context of the public hearing?
Yes.
So maybe we should revise this notice of the public hearing to be more restrictive, to give us the flexibility to address what Brian describes, if in fact it turns out that we ought to.
well, why
Or
would
you
that mean
want
a
to
public
eliminate
hearing?
You would want to eliminate that parking?
No, I'm not saying
that.
eliminate it, but we'd have to
It's
control it in
fine.
some way if it's not currently controlled.
But if it's our property and
You just
they have-
assert your rights.
Oh, I
Yeah, we're
understand.
just really,
But we have to establish whatever the rules are there, whether it's 2-hour parking or unlimited parking. At the moment, it's not regulated. You can park there all day.
because it's.
Well,
part-
right now, we would fall under the 2-hour restriction, believe it or not, because the 2-hour restriction's for the north side, the whole length from the stairwell to Tompkins, currently,
Mhm.
the one we're deleting. So we do have some regulation there.
But then this anticipates eliminating parking there at certain places.
Yeah, from 105 feet in.
From Tompkins.
Big storm
I
coming.
saw the lightning too, but I
Is
can't
that
believe
really
happened.
thunder?
I wonder what that flash out there
Yeah,
was.
it was over
I didn't see that.
Pennsylvania around 4 or 5
Oh,
o'clock.
great, my
So-
car windows are
Where are your
open.
guests, inside or outside?
I do it all the time. Nah, don't worry
Okay,
about
so
it.
Patty, just to be clear, these two,
It'll come straight down, but.
the two spaces to
Not
which
before that,
Brian
they are
refers are not covered by any change in this.
Not
I don't believe they are.
And if they were to be, if it turns out that there's an issue there, they are, as of the moment, 2-hour parking spaces.
That's right.
And
I-
we've never posted it that way, and nor have we ever enforced it that way.
I've never seen a sign there that
And-
it said
and
it
we
was
would have
private
to
either. It must be on the
because
building.
People
It's on
who
the
park
building.
Yeah,
there
they
to
must
go to
have
the
popped it on
train.
the building.
Well, you don't need a public hearing to establish a sign.
No, that's curious.
That could be done at any time, right?
Well, we do have to establish the
Okay, so how do you
resolution
want
required
to change
requirements.
this then?
Well, I guess I would dare say that some of the tenants in those buildings who are in the habit of parking in those spaces would be unhappy to see them turn into 2-hour spaces. I'm not saying they should or they shouldn't, but if we're going to change the status quo that has existed there for many, many years, they need to know it
Well,
and have an
we'll
opportunity to weigh
notice
in on
them. We'll notice them for the hearing.
it. Okay.
I think that's the best
So,
thing to do, and we don't have to make a
The
decision on
resolution for the
we'll
hearing
just-
is acceptable as is then.
Yeah.
Right, we can deal with
Yeah,
this,
well,
what
we
we're
can make
dealing
it-
with,
Fine.
and then talk about it.
I
All
think
right,
we'll
so
get
just
them
to
in
be
right
clear,
now.
did we vote on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
For the public hearing. Okay, number 214. Jonathan.
The Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby approves the request from Lieutenant Richard Love and Lieutenant Michael Wilson to attend a 3-day internal affairs seminar, October 25th through the 27th, in Fall River, Massachusetts, at a cost of $875.
Is there a second?
Second?
This is in the budget, is it not, Patty?
Yes, and we had
Okay.
spoken about this at a work session. I think it's appropriate that both of them attend. They're both responsible on occasion for different
Okay.
internal affairs investigations.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Brian.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby approves the request from the Pleasantville Police Department to purchase a hybrid vehicle.
Is there a second?
Second.
Steve, do you want to describe the history of this?
We've had an ongoing discussion with a number of departments about trying to update the vehicle fleet and consolidate the number of vehicles. Recently, we voted to reduce from 5 vehicles in the DPW down to 2, with two multi-purpose vehicles and much more reliable, including a combination plow and sander, which not only did tasks of 2 vehicles previously, but reduced the amount of manpower required to do that task. We had been speaking with the police department about the possibility of reducing the number of vehicles in the police department, and also about introducing hybrids. We do have hybrids now, as I understand it, with some of our other departments. I believe the
Code enforcement, parking
folks.
enforcement,
And recreation.
And the recreation.
And I think initially there was a lot of concern on the part of the police department that the new hybrid vehicles would not handle the demands of what the police department is expected to provide in providing public safety within the community. And over time, I think as they've investigated this further and as we've looked at it and advised them of use of hybrid vehicles within the New York City Police Department and within other police jurisdictions, they came around to seeing how they could integrate a hybrid vehicle here within the village. The vehicle which they're getting rid of is, as I understand, the lowest fuel efficiency vehicle in the fleet. I don't recall what.
It's the marked Ford Explorer, which is, I believe, 9 years old.
Right, it's an older vehicle and was
So that would
sold-
be surplus and sold.
Right. And they're probably a 14 mile per gallon, maybe 15 mile per gallon vehicle. And this new hybrid vehicle would be a terrific addition to the fleet. It would upgrade in terms of having a newer vehicle. It would meet the police specs, have the police package on it, lights and so on and so forth. And would also have a significantly reduced mileage. Do you recall, Patty, offhand what the mileage on the new vehicle would be?
Mileage in
30
terms
plus.
of?
30 plus mile per gallon anticipated.
It's a Ford Escape, a
I think
hybrid
it's
Ford Escape.
35 to 38.
Yeah.
35 to 38, yeah. Which
I had the specs, but I
will,
don't.
again, will
circulate
reduce
them.
repair bills because it'll be a newer vehicle, and will very significantly reduce the amount of fuel expended.
Wow, that's a
So
good
I
one.
think it's a good move for the police department.
It's a
Hopefully we
great
can get
move.
more in over time.
It is a good move, and as you can imagine, we have an annual discussion about the size of the police fleet as well as the size of the fleet in every other department, and have been both focusing on reducing those fleets, as Steve just described, and also on turning them into more flexible and more eco and cost-efficient vehicles, and this certainly is a positive step in this direction. I think it's time for the Ford Explorer at 9 years of age to be retired, and great to replace it with a much more economical vehicle. So
Yeah, the police have been asking us for 3 years for a new vehicle, and we've turned them down for 3 years and made them do with what they have, pushing their equipment longer than they probably should. And this is I think, a pretty decent compromise in terms of, one, responding to their needs and actually how they use the vehicles, because they leave them running quite often. And being an owner of 2 hybrid vehicles, I can tell you that if you leave them running, they shut off on their own, so they do save. And they do restart. They actually work pretty well. In fact, I might say very well. So I think this is not so much an experiment with them. I think they'll be pleasantly pleased. And as Steve said, I think they've gotten comfortable with the notion as well.
Let me just add that a number of people have asked me, have thought we bought some new police cars recently. In fact, what you see now as the black and white police cars are repainted cars. I think we repainted 2004 and 2005. The former white cars are now in a black and white color scheme in an effort to extend their life. So, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion
Nay,
approved.
nay, I'm a nay.
Okay. You want to describe why?
I didn't vote for this in the budget, and I didn't vote for the budget, and this is one of the reasons. Although I appreciate the fact that it's a hybrid, and very much so, and I appreciate all the work that you did, Steve, on that. I just don't believe we should be spending this kind of money now. I know the cars are old, but you know what? It's 1.7 square miles, our village, and I think we can make do with what we have at this point.
Okay, I respect that. Thank you for adding that to the record. I will say that it's everybody's judgment call in a circumstance when cost efficiency turns into deferred capital investment, and in some circumstances, deferring investment into future years means we get hit harder down the line. One of the things we've been talking about, and it's sort of an aside from this specific matter, is turning our capital purchases into a more planned process whereby we're actually funding a capital account on an annual basis with the monies that ultimately will be used to buy a capital project that we know is coming down the road. So, for example, if we know we need a new roof on the DPW garage, 10 years down the line, we ought to be saving for that in an incremental basis, so that at the point at which regular maintenance kind of expenses occur, instead of bonding them, we're buying them for cash. So that has not been the historic practice here, where we have typically bonded more expensive items of that kind, and we are looking over the next few years to start morphing to a different model. That will be difficult to do in the current economic environment because it would change the balance of the budget. But by the same token, that's one of the things we've been talking about, and I tossed that in as an aside. So, number 216, budget amendments. Mindy. Steve, yes.
Pardon me? Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budget amendments. The amount to increase of $2,719 for revenue budget code for the music festival to an expense budget code, and $39,132 from our contingency code to the police equipment automobile.
There's a second.
Second.
Patty, I don't recall the number being 39,132. Wasn't this car in the 27,000?
There's a police package on top of it.
It was close to 30, I believe, originally, but that was not a hybrid. That was a regular, I think they were looking at some sort of, it wasn't a Crown Vic, but it was one of the regular police
I think
vehicles.
we budgeted 25,000.
No, we would have budgeted at least 30, if not 35.
Well, we had 35 initially,
Right.
and then when we were redoing the budget, I think we put it down to 25.
I don't think we put it on a 25, but
We
I
wouldn't
don't
have been
think
able
we
to
have
buy
39.
anything with that,
Right.
yeah.
So the police, the car was in contingency.
Yes,
So this is the actual cost of the car, which is the base car, and then the police package added on it?
that's right.
Okay. Did we have a second? Yes.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved.
Aye, yes.
217.
I mean, what am I agree with the other thing, I can't,
Well, that's confusing.
Well, what am I gonna like, not, if I could be a nay, but then I'd be like screwing the music festival there, but make me a nay.
It's all right. Nay?
Half a nay.
Yeah, I'm the nay.
All right.
Might as well be consistent. That's what I was trying to do anyway.
Now, number 217, we're going to table. That's approval of an agreement with the SPCA. It has to do with our providing a shelter for stray seized animals and also engages the question that we've been discussing about dog licenses. So we're tabling that for further discussion. So number 218,
Is that me?
that would
Yes.
be you.
Yes, okay, thank you. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville, based upon the recommendation of the police chief, hereby approves Natalie Hintz for an unpaid internship with the Pleasantville Police Department beginning in the fall of 2010.
Is there a second?
Second.
Chief Charletti is a adjunct professor at Pace and therefore is regularly in touch with students who are interested in internships, and this young woman falls into that category, a senior at Pace, majoring in criminal justice. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Thank you, Natalie, for assisting us.
We knew we'd go no on that, too, but
219,
No,
Jonathan.
Brian. I vote no on you,
resolved-
Brian. I'm sorry.
219.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby approves the request for Great Oak Lane residents to hold a block party on Saturday, October 16th, from 3 to 8 p.m.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. A raft of block
Late
parties.
season block parties.
All right, anybody else have anything to add, any new business, other announcements?
Oh,
We
Anybody?
asked already. actually.
Okay.
I did want to say, I didn't get a chance to say this earlier, that my neighbor again has returned home from service after 4 tours of duty, Teresa Sconzo, and I just want to welcome her home. It took her a while to get here, but she served under General Petraeus all 4 tours, 1 in Afghanistan, and 2 in Iraq, and 1 in Africa was the last tour of duty. And she's finally retired Lieutenant Colonel, so just great to have her back.
Welcome back, Teresa Sconzo. So, there being no further business?
Well, I have one clarification, I guess, from last week's, from the public meeting that we had last time, which involved the raises for our managers. And I want people, a number of people have come up to me and asked me about that. In part, it was a true-up for the last year. But they were also delivered a fairly hard message, which was that they should expect, in essence, 0 in the next year or 2. And that was a hard message, which they took very well and very gracefully. And I want to thank them for that, realizing that they're taking a real leadership role in terms of how we're addressing the financial state and condition of the community, and how we need to progress forward with that. And I don't think enough recognition is given to them from that. And I just wanted to be clear that while they're getting a small raise this year, which is really reflective of kind of some cumulative union contract negotiations that went on, they are graciously know that they are probably looking at 0 in the next year or 2. And I want to thank them for that. And I want the village to know that their managers, while putting in many, many hours of overtime and not being rewarded for them through cash remuneration, are also taking a leadership role in terms of really doing what needs to be done for this community going forward. And I want to thank them and hope that the people that they are managing take note and hopefully are as gracious in following suit.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's worth noting that we are now about a third of the way through our fiscal year. Our fiscal year starts June 1. And I think it's fair to say, Patty, that so far so good.
There were no surprises.
Right.
Yeah, thank you for
Probably.
mentioning that. We'll have an
Right.
audit report, I would think, in November, because our audit is complete now for the fiscal year ending May 31, 2010. And I would
And when are
expect
they
we'll-
coming? Is that scheduled yet?
I don't know. It's hard to get them, but
Okay.
we'll definitely
Yeah.
have them in the next
Well,
few meetings.
At any rate, in addition to the fact that the current year budget seems to be progressing, as far as we can tell, a third of the way through, roughly according to plan, we're also at the beginning of some budget planning quite a bit earlier than we normally do. We already know a few things that are coming down the pike. I mentioned last time we met that the pension fund levy from New York State will hit us fairly hard again. So that will be 2 years in a row where we have been confronting a major increase in our contribution to the state pension fund. And as of the moment, although there have been some positive signs in terms of our share of the county's sales tax, it's not expected to be rebounding to the level it once existed at in the very near future. And we continue to face quite a bit of pressure as a result of tax grievances. Quite a raft of tax grievances were just settled through the efforts of our assessor Jim Timmings and the affected homeowners, and I thank everybody for their effort in that regard. But we are also, as you may recall from discussions last year, likely to be affected by some fairly big tax grievances, and each time someone wins a reduction in their assessment, it means that everybody else's taxes have to go up a bit in order to make up the lost tax base. So we are in the process of kind of monitoring that as we go along, and we're also thinking as carefully as we can about the logical things for us to think about going forward, including shared services with other jurisdictions, as well as reorganizing some of the departments we have here, thinking about ways in which we can end up with a lower head count going forward, and that government can be a bit leaner and lighter on its feet in a few years from now than it is right now. So I just mentioned that at the end of this meeting. We'll have a lot more to say about it in the months to come, but we continue to be working on that quite aggressively because, as you read in the newspaper about many of our neighboring communities, the towns are in the process of putting their budgets together right now because they're on a different fiscal year, and they confront a rather grim story. I think it would be fair to say that this community is in relatively good shape as compared to many, and that is a testament to this board and the boards that have preceded it, as well as to the efforts of Patty and the staff. And I think we have been careful and reasonable. By the same token, we still face headwinds, and it will not be an easy budget year next year either. So more to be said on that as we progress through the year. Motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. Look forward to seeing you again. Our next work session Monday, October 18. Our next regular meeting Monday, October 25. Thank you.